Hey guys, Josh Collacchi here on RotoCurve.com. You may have noticed that every now and then we will be doing quick pitching segments on guys that get called up, maybe some guys that we're not too sure of. And today is one of those days with Vincent Velasquez, his top pitching prospect from the Houston Astros. I want to talk about Velasquez because he's extremely cheap on DraftKings and on Fantasy Aces. Now, on FanDuel, I believe he's 8,100, so he's a guy that you probably won't want to go with in his first career start. Especially, you could spend a little bit more on guys like Trevor Bauer or Matt Harvey for $1,000 more, even though he does have a tough matchup against the Giants. But I want to talk about Velasquez real quick. He has a 10.8 strikeout per nine so far in the minor leagues, which is an incredible number. A lot of guys don't have the ability to throw 5, 6, or 7 innings in the minor leagues when they first come up because they don't have great stuff right away. They're trying to figure out their commands. They're trying to figure out how to use both sides of the plate. And a number that high is really incredible because that means he's being able to do that in a short amount of time. I was able to watch some video, and I saw one of his starts in the Arizona Fall League where he threw just 5 innings but had 10 strikeouts. And it's just one of those things that's really incredible because the Arizona Fall League has some of the best hitters in minor league baseball. Some of these guys that we see in the major leagues now, guys like Chris Bryant, and top prospects we've seen across the last couple of years. One of the other things to notice is Velasquez's whip, his walks and hits per inning pitch, is a 1.13 in the minor leagues, which is an excellent number because, like we said, guys with great stuff, which Velasquez has, and we'll get to that in a little bit, usually their whip is high because they can't control their stuff going on both sides of the plate. Like they have wild fastballs or wild sliders, and they give up a lot of hits because the fastball is left over the plate. But with a whip of just 1.13, that means Velasquez really has incredible stuff, and guys aren't being able to hit it. And that means he can use both sides of the plate well, which he definitely does. He has a 1.37 ERA this year, which is incredible. Now, it's only been 3 or 4 starts in Double-A, but that's still a number to take advantage of. The thing that I look at with minor league pitchers and young prospects is their strikeouts and their innings pitched. And I mentioned that number earlier, 10.8 strikeouts per 9. But what he has is I think it's about 80 or 90 strikeouts, more strikeouts than innings pitched, which is a huge number. And another thing that I like to look at is hits allowed because a lot of young guys give up a lot of hits, but they're able to work through it because some of those guys in the minor leagues are just trying to hit home runs and pad their stats to get called up. Velasquez has only given up 238 hits in 290 innings, which is really impressive, and that just alludes to how good his stuff is. I want to talk about that because you can look at numbers all day long, but if you don't know exactly what you're looking at in terms of pitching, you don't know exactly what you can find. And there's some pitchers that have a high ERA in different minor league systems where the leagues give up a lot of home runs. They give up a lot of hits. There's thin air. I know a league like the Pacific Coast League, a pitcher with a high ERA, that doesn't necessarily mean he's struggling because that league is full with hitters and hitters' ballparks. Now, one thing with Velasquez is he's very slow to the plate. So throughout his career, when he starts in the major leagues, I don't think this is just going to be a spot start. I think he's called up for the long run here. Target guys that steal bases against him, guys like D. Gordon, Billy Hamilton, because he's incredibly slow to the plate. And one of the things is him being right-handed, it's hard for him to see the base runner at first base when they take a lead. So if you're looking at a guy like that, he doesn't allow a lot of base runners. But if they do get on first base, with him being very slow delivery, has a very high leg kick, it's almost impossible to throw somebody out at second base unless you have somebody like Yadier Molina and he does a slide step. Velasquez does not have a slide step. I haven't seen it in any of his starts, which is a big concern, which means he could struggle concerning the running game. He throws directly over the top, and sometimes that's one of the things that a lot of people will target in hitters. But the fact is that this guy throws so hard, mid to high 90s, that it doesn't matter where his arm slot is. Speaking of that arm slot, it's really big because he throws 3 pitches all from the same slot. The reason why that's so huge is because he throws a fastball that runs, it goes away from lefties and into righties, a changeup that goes away from lefties as well, and a slider that just drops off the table. All 3 coming from the same arm slot is huge because the hitter doesn't know what's coming. From the same arm slot, if the guy's throwing one pitch and then drops down a little bit, that means he's throwing a different pitch. But Velasquez does not have that, and that's why he's been very successful. He has a ton of life on his fastball as well, and I mentioned he throws 95 to 98. But what life means is that ball is moving. That ball is rising a little bit, and it's kind of defying gravity a little bit. But when a guy's throwing that hard, the fact that the major league, minor league baseball's laces or seams are into the ball, and that means that he's been able to get a lot of movement on a straight ball, and that's something that's very impressive because the young pitcher doesn't necessarily have that movement. A guy like Nady Eovaldi throws 97, 98, but it's just straight. And one thing why I like Velasquez is he does have that movement on his fastball, and that's given him the ability to get a lot of ground balls and a lot of strikeouts. I mentioned he does throw those 3 pitches. He has a very good fastball, mid to high 90s. He has a good changeup. But his slider is an excellent strikeout pitch, and that's the reason why I'm targeting him. In most of my head-to-head, or most of my tournament and games tonight, maybe even some triple ups or some quadruple ups if you play on FanDuel. And one of the reasons is because even if he only goes 5-6 innings, his stuff is so good that he can get a bunch of strikeouts, and that's huge, especially for a guy that's at such a low price on DraftKings and on Fantasy Aces. We're talking about 4,300 on DraftKings, which means you can pair him with any other pitcher, and you're not spending nearly as much as you should be spending in terms of guys getting like Matt Harvey or Trevor Bauer or even a guy like Vincent Velasquez who has a decent matchup. But the thing with Velasquez is he has the potential to get 20 to 30 fantasy points even in his first start simply because his stuff is so good. So be sure to keep an eye on him for your lineups tonight. And for those of you playing on Fantasy Aces and DraftKings, be sure to get this guy in, especially in a few tournament lineups because he's been incredible. He has a very good fastball, throws very hard, and it's a lot of fun to watch a young pitcher come up right away. For RotoCurve.com, I'm Josh Collacchi.